So I used to believe that if you use AI, you're going to become a worse developer. And I truly believe that. I talked about that here on the channel, probably shared that in any of my opinions around AI. But I think it was actually a fault in my approach to utilizing AI. And what I've actually found is if used correctly, it can actually enhance your abilities, help you learn faster, and help you get better results. I think the fear was that people would stop learning the fundamentals and they would no longer be able to modify or edit any kind of code. They're not going to be able to understand the stuff that Claude or any of the other AI tools create. So they pretty much only ever get 80% of the way to a final product, and they don't have the skills capable to go from 80% to 100%, which is arguably the hardest part, polishing out any bugs, making something production ready. At first, this makes sense really, because if you think about it, if you're leaning on autocomplete, you're not actually typing any of that stuff out yourself. You're just expecting the result it creates to be what you want. You're shipping code that you don't understand and you didn't write yourself. I still think this is a real risk in certain situations, but my opinions have actually changed a bit. So I want to talk about what I currently believe, because it more matters what you're doing with AI and how you're using AI than whether or not you are using AI at all. So I'm going to share some key differences in the way I approach using AI that will drastically improve the results for yourself, but also the products you're building. So you're going to have a deeper understanding, you're going to learn faster, and you're going to build better software. The part that I got wrong is that I assumed the usage of a tool is going to remove the learning. But the problem is it's not dependent on the tool, it's dependent on the person. So I could use an AI tool and learn a lot in the process, while you might use an AI tool and learn absolutely nothing. It comes down to the fact that if you want to coast and you don't want to learn something, then you're just not going to put in the effort. And I think that's what's going to differentiate a lot of the vibe-coded, low-quality AI slop applications from applications that were built with the help of AI that are actually pretty good. Because even some of the big companies, such as Google, are using AI-generated code. Up to 75% of their new code is created by AI. So why would all of these leading companies be using AI-generated code if it was not able to produce high-quality results? Before AI, people would copy off of Stack Overflow and paste in their code without understanding any of it. It's the same. We're just one level higher in the abstraction. I remember in college, there was a guy that submitted an assignment and it was in the wrong programming language. Clearly, he had no idea what he was doing, and maybe, he just needed some help, but realistically, he probably just copied some solution off the internet and pasted it in his project and submitted it, hoping that he'd get a good grade. That same laziness is going to affect you if you're using AI tools and you're not actually looking at anything that's being created, investing any effort into the actual architecture of the final product, or setting up any good guardrails and linting or any kind of deterministic rules to produce higher quality software. So just on one end, you can definitely use AI and learn absolutely nothing and produce AI slop, but the other side is also true, and I think that's what I was failing to see. If you actually want to learn, AI is going to help you do that much faster and much easier, because it's able to reason about your local project and analyze different possible solutions that you could implement to make something better, help identify bugs, trace requests from request to response, and associate a variety of different inputs to possible outputs. That's really what traditionally AI is known to do really well. If you have some massive data set, it's able to make predictions on that data in a way that a human is not able to easily see. The same exact thing with code. You can imagine you have some application, a bunch of different ways to interact with that application. The higher dimensionality thinking of an AI model is what's going to actually help you create better software. It's able to think of different edge cases or different scenarios that might lead to different outcomes. So long ago, when AI was first popping up, I started to use ChatGPT, just experimenting with it, and I used it to help me build a little game. And I recall during this time, going through this process was a nightmarish experience. And this was a fault in my workflow largely, but also the models were not nearly as developed as they are today. So I think a lot of people went through a similar experience where they tried AI and then, any level of complexity, things started to collapse. They weren't able to get the answer they wanted with a single prompt, and asking more prompts just introduced more issues. With Agentic AI, things improved a lot because now you're not just working with an LLM through a browser or through some chat window, copying and pasting as a replacement to things like Stack Overflow. You've upgraded to actually have the agent work on the files itself. At first, this was scary, right? Because it's changing stuff faster than you can even read, and you don't know what's going on because you're not anchored to any rules or specifications or boundaries. you're basically giving an AI free control over your code. So one of the big things that changed the way I thought about working with AI is driving the application development through building my own knowledge vault and specialized skills. So I keep all my architecture, design choices, and any of the important stuff about my project in a folder that the AI updates on its own as time goes on. And when I'm developing, anytime the AI does something I don't like, I do something with that information, whether it's putting it in the vault. More than likely, I'm updating a skill because that's often how I launch my agents. I will have some skills such as a designer or whatever it might be with specialized information to getting the result I want. This was a game changer for me because pretty much anytime something happened that I didn't like, I could improve the AI so that it wouldn't happen the next time. And it wasn't just extending the Claude MD indefinitely to where I have this massive file. I was doing this in specialized locations relevant for certain things. So within the vault, I would have stuff documenting the different components I have available, or within the skill, the actual workflow of building good software. So instead of just, hey, build me this feature, I would have, hey, spec out this feature, do some research on possible implementations, ask me a bunch of questions to clarify the specification, implement it, add any tests, and then separately verify it, making sure everything works the way it expects. So now we have like this multi-step process that makes it much harder for a feature to get through without a much higher level of quality. Structuring your project, your repo, your skills, your agents, your hooks. What I talked about here with the vault and the skills is just scratching the surface. I've actually put everything that I've done with Agentic AI in my new Agentic AI course. If you're interested in all of the details, how to actually set all of that up, how to structure your subagents, hooks, any kind of deterministic rules, and quality checks to enforce high quality results from AI agents, that's what I have my Agentic AI course for. You can get a pretty good high level overview from the YouTube videos I put here, but the course is the last 6+ months of me working with Agentic AI to build my own SaaS. All the ins and outs, everything I ran into, all of the issues I've encountered, how I solved them, pretty much the highest value course on agents I could possibly produce from real world experiences I've encountered. So if you want to actually get the hands-on practice with everything on Agentic AI, I would highly encourage you to check that link out. I'll have it down below. So that was the first milestone for me, setting up the information vault and driving my AI through developing specialized skills. Now at this point, whenever I see somebody pull up an AI prompt and they ask, a single sentence question without any additional context, it kind of makes me sick because they're missing out on so much in terms of quality. And then they wonder why they're not getting good results. The next breakthrough for me was actually goal-driven prompting, and this is a very interesting approach. So pay attention closely because it's not exactly the same thing as just asking an AI to help you achieve certain things, because that's really what Agentic AI is. It's goal-driven AI. But what I did specifically is I would give it some goal that I knew was impossible, and then I would have it invent the path to be able to do that. Sounds kind of wild saying it out loud. But this is essentially how I built the entire interaction layer through the API and MCP for my software. So instead of something like, hey, create the ability to import contacts, I would say, hey, I need to launch a campaign to my contacts. I need them imported into Course Catalyst, my software. Do this all through the API. If you're unable to do it, invent the code so that you can do it. And that's just like a really simple example, but I would give it much larger tasks. And as it goes, it would basically checkmark every single thing that was implemented to achieve some goal. This obviously could be done the same way, just asking it to implement certain features. But what this did is it helped me prioritize the things that actually mattered to achieve results, which is not always what you're doing when you're just coming up with features. You're thinking of things that might be nice to have, but you're not thinking of the end-to-end workflow. And that's what this process forces the AI to think through, because literally the task is not complete until we're able to achieve the result. So doing this enough times, I have complete interactivity with my app, all through MCP, designed to allow users of the app to achieve various workflows. And that ties in closely with real account access. This was a big breakthrough for me because I was very limited to thinking of the LLM as pure code generation. And it wasn't until I started connecting a bunch of different accounts through MCP that I unlocked so many new things that really helped me realize, okay, this AI stuff is actually pretty useful. because I can pretty much do whatever I want through prompts and I don't have to spend the time writing scripts that only work for very specialized structures. So basically just creating workflows on the fly, and this can go across multiple platforms. So if the end goal is getting everything on Course Catalyst, I can retrieve data from Kit, I can retrieve data from Stripe, I can retrieve data from Notion. And instead of thinking of AI purely as a tool to help me build software, I'm thinking of AI as a way to help me with the operations. So automating essentially very time consuming tasks. So this is really when I was like, okay, yeah, this stuff is real. Like, I'm seriously going to invest time learning Agentic AI, because I was in a situation where I was migrating all of my courses, all of my contacts, landing pages, lead magnets, transactions over multiple years. I think this ended up being over 600 video lessons, hundreds of thousands of words in written notes, plenty of images, 30,000 contacts, and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of transactions that I've collected over many years across various platforms. So, migrating all of this information onto a new platform is not exactly easy. So I started building out scripts to do this, and I had, a working prototype where I could import all these contacts, choose what products they should be in, make sure everything was synced up, and then I could basically confirm that change and it would all go live. But it was just a little bit too clunky, because even though it was all through scripts and it was going to give me the same result every time, what the script lacked was the ability to reason about certain situations. If things didn't line up 100% perfect, or there was some drift in data, it was impossible to reason about that within the script, and it took a lot of manual effort. So for example, at some point I had both platforms going. So I had contacts that were on both sites. Sometimes emails would be sent from one, sometimes the other. And it was basically like way more complex than just copy data, paste data. So what I did instead is I started to build out a skill for AI to help me with this migration, implementing any scripts I needed, verifying data across both sides of this migration, and flagging any concerns as it went. So it was able to effectively reason about the situation and not just give me a binary success or failure flag that a script would do. So not only did it help with the import, but as we were going, I was able to have it do additional thinking. So finding any spelling mistakes, any bad way of wording things, and actually improve some of the copy for my lessons without actually taking away the tone of my writing. So it wasn't like replaced with AI generated content. It was just making small improvements as we went. And it was able to find any issues. So like, for example, in the library, we have all these different courses, but I archived some courses and they didn't have a nice natural one-to-one match. So it was able to think through like, hey, potentially we want to import these into another course, or do we want to mark these as unknown? It gave me different options. So basically I just tell the AI to bubble up any concerns and then ask me what I want to do about it. So what that translates to is, instead of me manually having to create hundreds and hundreds of videos on this platform, uploading them and copying over, uploading all these images and notes, I just create that initial skill to do that for me. And then it's able to do that all through MCP and the API. So here's an example of how you can use MCP to run your operations, even across multiple platforms, but this will all be within one. Draft an email, keep it simple, like 100 words. As a thank you to anyone who has gone through my AI mastery course, here is an additional 20% off Agentic AI expiring Monday, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Put the coupon code, make a coupon for 20% off that expires then. Draft it to everyone enrolled in AI Mastery minus anyone who bought the course Agentic AI already. Before sending, send me a preview email and the count of people for the send. AI Mastery minus people who bought equals question mark. And then ask some clarifying questions. What coupon does this apply to? We'll do level 2. All looks pretty good to me, and then I get a preview email in my inbox. I can just read through it, see if I need to make any changes. I structured the MCP so you have to confirm the count so you don't accidentally do any large sends. So when you do the send, you have to send how many you expect it to send to, which is just to force the AI to do it properly. And then I currently don't have a delete broadcast tool. So I was very cautious about adding any kind of delete capabilities. I will either have them soft delete, so it goes to like a trash bin, or just prevent the AI from doing any deletes, and then you'd have to go into your account and delete it manually. Here's a preview of that email. Pretty simple. So as an example of an on-demand workflow, I could have added to that, put it as a blog after you're done, filtering out any email language, or I could have it send variations to different groups of people based off of their purchase history. Whatever I want it to do, I can just invent it on the fly and have it do it. So that's actually one of the biggest value adds from AI for me, is in the operations side of my life and business, as opposed to just purely code generation. So as with any major new thing, it can introduce a lot of fear, doubt, and also just the requirement to adapt to new things. So I personally don't believe software engineering is dead. Maybe the earlier version of it is fading away and some new version is coming to life. That sounds like some cringy garbage, but basically you need to adapt to the new environment. Does that mean you have to use AI to build out everything? No. Does that mean you should at least accept the idea that maybe AI could be useful for some things? I would say yes. So where do I land now? Use AI when it makes sense and don't use it as a crutch. Don't ignore the implementation. Make sure you understand what's going on. There's pretty much 3 approaches or thoughts I have about this. If there's something you understand very well, you can trust the AI to do it for you. If there's something you don't understand very well and you don't care to understand very well because it's irrelevant, you can trust AI to do that for you. The dangerous area is when it's something you don't understand at all and it's something that's very critical for you to understand. That's the area where you do not want to let AI drive. You want to be involved. So let's go through a couple of examples here. Building out a CRUD API layer, super basic web development stuff. You could use AI to generate that. It's basically just a fancier version of scaffolding for your app. Building out a user interface. That's something that you can easily verify using your eyes. You don't really need to understand the exact CSS to make it happen. How about processing payments? Well, this is something where if you don't understand it and you're having AI build it, you have a big problem. So those are the 3 different areas that you could basically bucket things into. Not every single situation is the same. So use the appropriate amount of AI for what you are doing and constantly learn what you are doing. Like when I'm building, most of what I'm doing is thinking, reading, researching, figuring out the best approach so that I can actually build. Sometimes I wish I could just answer and decide things faster because the slowest thing in the process is me. So I'll often have AI do scans or analyze different paths and code and make sure everything's good, and it might call out a certain issue. Let's say it says, hey, you have an N+1 database problem. And I'm like, oh, okay, no idea what that is, fix it. Well, that didn't solve anything because it's just going to be introduced again in the future. Even if I add it to a Claude.md, I'm skipping the part where I understand what the problem is, so similar patterns are going to show up. So whenever something like that happens, that's a trigger for you to do the additional research so you understand what you are doing. Then when some new problem comes up, maybe you're getting a table scan and really bad performance, you've built up enough skills that you already know a general idea of how you can improve and solve that problem. What requires AI intervention and what should be done by hand, that's ultimately up to you and the projects you're working on. What I gave for an example was how it works for me. Like I'm not super tied up with the user interface. Don't really care as long as it looks pretty good and is pretty consistent. But when it comes to processing data, money, authentication, those kinds of things, I want to give a little bit of extra effort and really understand what is going on behind the scenes. So if this type of content is helpful to you or you have any additional questions, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to learn more about Agentic AI and some of the processes behind the stuff I've built, definitely check out the Agentic AI course. Again, I'll have a link down below. Be sure to subscribe. Stay tuned for the next lessons. Looking forward to this journey. I have a lot of cool things in store, wanting to talk about processes I've used to build out my software, things I've been working on behind the scenes, and talking about good software architecture, everything that we typically do on this channel. So with that, I will see you in the next lesson. Peace out.